Alright folks, in order to put this Skunkjet together, we can use foam tack by Beacon as a replacement for welders, which goes yellow after a while. My hot glue of choice is the Arrow slow setting hot melt glue gun. Very important, if you're using hot glue sticks, look for the clear sticks. For some reason they're much better than the milky sticks. The clear adheres much better to EPP than milky sticks, so try and discard the milky ones and use the clear ones only. And then multi-temp hot glue gun, very important. When you're dispensing, you switch it over to the hot, and when you're letting it sit, you switch it over to the low temperature. That way you can dispense much quicker and make sure the temperature stays hot. So put it on hot when you're dispensing, put it on cold when you're storing. Very important. Okay folks, here we have the Skunkjet, 2 wing pieces. You have the top side and you have the bottom side. The bottom side has room for the spar, has room for the wiring for the servos, and the hinge cutout is the bottom. This is the top side. Very important when you're assembling. Top side, bottom side. Assemble with the bottom up. First we're going to start assembling the 2 pieces together. Alright, we'll let that sit up a little bit. We got 2 spars. We got the longer one, the shorter one. The longer one is the front spar, the shorter one is the middle spar, and the long skinny one is the main spar. Now we have the front 2 pieces. We're going to glue them together. Might as well go ahead and glue up the old spar. Alright, let's start. First we join these, starting at the back. Make sure to put glue on both sides. The front spar gets glue about 3/8 from the front and stop 3/8. Alright, ready for the front spar. Nice and flush over here. And just go ahead and squeeze it all the way through, hold it in place. Go ahead and put some glue on the front side. There's the center line. Just make sure the center line stays straight. Now we'll do the front and make sure it sticks over with 3/8 on either side and 3/8 on that side. Now we'll go ahead and put a generous amount of foam tack on here. Go ahead and make sure it goes over. Now we'll do the main spar. Main spar goes in from there. I always dry fit the main spar first. Make sure it goes in flush. Make sure not to run your finger over too hard. Douglas fir or any spar, especially fiberglass, carbon fiber spar, will cut your finger when you do that. Remove the spar after it was dry fitted. Put a generous amount of foam tack in there. Start on the one side. Make sure it goes all the way to the left hand side of the side force generator. Wiggle your way in while pressing down. You'll notice there's glue squeezing out. That's exactly what we want. Then real slow, start on the one side and work it in there. And that's it. One wing assembly. Top side of the wing, bottom side of the wing. Alright folks, here we have the bottom side of the canopy, top side of the canopy, the motor mount, and the canopy itself. This part I like to use the hot glue. Make sure you start off with the low setting and every time you dispense on the high setting. So we start off with putting a bead in there, then go ahead and bend it over, and while holding it in this hand, put a bead in on the side. Now you can be holding it. Make sure you pinch it nice and tight. Give that hot glue some time. It's slow setting hot glue, so it gives you about 60 seconds to 90 seconds. While you're holding it in your hand here, that's why I like using it, you dispense the next row. Start folding it over. And it's good to use the hard surface. These you can let go now. The hot glue is holding. Now you just make sure that you put some pressure on those angles. Dispense a little bit more on this end. There we go. Then you go ahead and dispense on the short side, on either side, and bend them over. Hold your thumb and your index finger. Can keep them in place. You could put it on the table and bend it up like this, whichever works better for you. Hold it for a good 60 seconds until that hot glue grabs. Put some pressure on it. Make sure it's nice and flush. Check the other side. And there we go. Now it's holding. We move over to the top side. We're going to do the same thing, switch it over to hot, dispense a generous amount of hot glue. Do the same on this side. Bend them up. Hold them like this. For a good 30 seconds. Now, going to dispense in the short side again. Generous amount of hot glue. Bend it up. Make sure it's flush. That's it. Now we'll go ahead and put the canopy on. You'll notice the canopy is straight and then it kinks down a little bit. This is the back and this is the front side. I just go ahead and dispense some hot glue on the top here. Press firmly. Now it's very important to have it straight. When the first bead of hot glue had set, run a bead inside the joint, run a bead down the side, another bead inside the joint, do the same on this side, bead down the side, in the joint, and now the slow setting hot glue gives you an opportunity to look at it straight from the top. You want to make sure it's straight with your fuselage. If it's bent over, you still have time to push it straight. If it's this way, you still have time to push it straight. There we go. Alright, put this aside. Now we have the motor mount, which is the foam part of the motor mount. This is going to be glued on later on. That is the part that actually sticks out at the top, like that. So first of all, put it in there dry. Then run a generous bead at the top there, on the side, and inside that V-groove. Open it up, put it in, hold it down with both fingers, and I always moisten my fingers when you're working with hot glue. Put a little spit on there, that way the hot glue don't stick. Make sure it's flush on the top. Don't rush it. The hot glue gives a good 90 seconds for you to work with it. Just keep on squeezing it until you're happy. And there we go. This is where the future motor mount is going to go. Marry the two together, starting in the front, bringing our way to the back. The way I do it is I run a bead of hot glue down here, up the sides, and just hold it in place. Until the hot glue grabs. Then put some hot glue on that edge, put some hot glue in that edge, and put some hot glue at the top. And then by pinching the nose and pinching on the sides, you'll notice that the hot glue is coming out. Now you just hold it in place, put some spit on there, that way the hot glue won't stick to your finger. And y'all will notice that it goes up with a sharp angle right there. That's how it's supposed to be. Then we go some cork in there, down the side, and up again. And we might as well run it down there. Make sure to pinch it in between your fingers there. Put some pressure on it on the side so that hot glue catches. Make sure it's nice and flush. Move over to the other side. This step is important. It's virtually impossible to do it both ends simultaneously. You got to do the one side and then the other side. Very important to have that low part flush. Just keep on putting some pressure on until that hot glue grabs, and then you're done. So the fuselage consists of a top section, bottom section. I call this the belly. It's going to open up for you to install it onto the main wing. And this is the battery pouch right here.